Hi guys, welcome to the first ever SWR Darts Coaching podcast. My name's Shaun and I'm the founder of SWR Darts Coaching. So, most of you might follow me already on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now I'm on TikTok. And I've wanted to do a podcast for a while just to really explain what I do, how I came to be a darts coach, and a bit of the background about myself and what I'm looking to achieve with SWR Darts Coaching. So this podcast is basically based around that. It's probably going to be a fortnightly podcast. That's my aim. So every fortnight, I will do a little podcast. We'll talk about a little bit of the latest news, what I've been coaching recently, how I've been helping players with their game, and obviously talking about a practice session. So on my website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk, every week I list a practice session. These are practice sessions that can be found online in a lot of places, some that I've made up. And we post them on there to allow the darts player to find new ways of playing darts or practicing. So I'm going to talk about them as well. But to start with today, obviously, I want to do a bit of an intro about myself and a bit of background on me. So my name's Shaun. I'm based in Stoke-on-Trent. I've been playing darts since the early 2000s, really. I got into darts just purely by being in my local pub. Saw a dartboard up there. The landlord had put a couple of sets of darts down by the side, and I picked up a set of darts and I threw them. Me and my friends, we had a bit of a practice that night. It took us an absolute age to get from 501 down to 0. And the following day, we went into the pub, and the landlord of the pub had put a calculator on a bit of string at the side of the dartboard. So I said, "What's that for?" He says, "Mate," he says, "it was hilarious trying and watch you guys play darts at the weekend, so I've put that there to help you." And I think from there on in, I just got into darts quite heavily. So we're talking the early 2000s here. But I didn't really sort of start playing in leagues and everything like that until around 2006, 2007. And that's when I really got the bug for the game of darts. I started going to a lot of tournaments. I started playing with some fantastic players in my local area. Obviously, as you know, Stoke-on-Trent has been a hotbed for darts players for many a year. And I had the privilege of having a practice with some of them, and obviously I played Super League eventually, and it was great. I loved the game. I also got a passion for football. So in regards to football, I became a football coach. Started coaching at junior level, youth level, and then I worked my way up to the Staffs County Senior League, which I believe is classed as step 7 of the non-league pyramid. And I was a manager there for 2.5 years. But I was privileged enough when I was a coach to go to many of the courses with the FA, also see many coaches in action. I ruptured my Achilles back in 2019. And after that, I've never gone back into football, but I started back into darts heavily. So I'd had a good layoff from darts, to be fair. Gone back into darts and really started enjoying it again. But then realised at that point that we hadn't got many coaches. There was a couple of people on YouTube who were doing videos. There were people who would offer you advice online. So I got into it. I started studying the game like I did with football. Really got into the study side of the game, and from there, I realised that people, when they go to practice, there's things that they do, but there's no structure in them practices. When we had football training, you always had structure in your football training. You'd make sure that the players knew what they were coming into that session. You'd explain the session. The session could be broken down into 3 parts. Your warm up, your engagement, your main activity, and then you sort of your purpose at the end of the session. So from a coaching point of view, I started to look into that. I'd already had an aim over the lockdowns to look to start a junior darts academy because there's nothing again for junior players in the Stoke-on-Trent area at the time. I got in touch with the JDC, and back in 2021, after the pandemic, I became an accredited academy. So I could run an academy for the JDC, which was fantastic. We started that in October of 2021. First session, I only had 2 kids turn up. And about 7 sessions later, we were up to 11 kids, which was absolutely phenomenal. The growth of how it went was brilliant. And it was great to see that people were putting faith in me as a coach to help them, nurture and get their player to enjoy darts and learn more about the game. The game is more than just playing 501 and getting down to zero. And I think that's where I've wanted to try and come across with the way I coach. Is we play a lot of different games. We play sessions whereby you're not focusing on just playing 501. You're focusing on everything in regards to the board for board management. But it's also about the player making sure that they've got the right stance, the right grip, the right understanding of what they need to throw for. So we worked a lot on that. Then in 2022, the JDC introduced that they were doing a level 1 darts coaching course. I was one of, I think there was only 12 of us on the first ever course that they did. And it was fantastic. Went down to Coventry with the JDC, and we went down there, and it was fantastic just to have this opportunity to work with other coaches, other people who were working as mentors. Some of them had academies that had been established for many a year in different areas, and it was great because you learned a lot from them as well. And for me going down there, I felt that I got a very good understanding of the game. And then a course like that will open your eyes. But it was the same with football. When you used to go like the FA Level 2 courses as they were back in the day, you do them courses and you'd learn a lot about what different levels of the game, how much you can take away into the game and build from the game. So with darts, it was the same thing, really. It was about all looking to structure how you get a player and how you help that player become better with their game. And that's basically the way I've been doing my coaching ever since. My sessions are very relaxed and laid back. I don't put pressure within the session, but there is pressure within there because with everything you do, you need to have that little bit of pressure behind you. You've got to make sure that when you're up there at the oche, you've got a reason to be at the oche. I think there's been too many players these days who probably just, they're at home and they just throw, 200 darts at the dartboard in the hope that they're going to hit a 180. And that's not what it's about. It's not about that, but you've got to put some structure into your practice. And I think coming from the football coaching background, that's where I've been looking to mainly get that involved in. That's obviously a bit of an explanation about myself and the background of where I come from. So moving away from, obviously, my introduction and letting people know what I'm about, I want to just talk about what the aims of SWR Darts Coaching and the aims of where I'm at now. So a lot of people might also know that I also run a website called Darts and Stoke. So Darts and Stoke is based around the idea of giving as much information on, say, darts knockouts, where you can play darts, all that sort of accessible information in one place. Facebook's a great tool, but you can get lost in Facebook, whereas with the website, with Darts and Stoke, we tried to do that. Obviously, through Darts and Stoke, that's where we also started, like I say, the Darts Academy. And now I've got my own unit. I've got like a little workshop where I run my darts coaching from. And I go down there, we got all the latest setup. We've got recording software so we can record players and analyse their throw. And coming from the footballing background, again, that's something that I was keen to look into, that analysis side of the game. The Scolia systems are a fantastic tool for that because it gives you the heat maps of, where your darts are landing and, you can see if the darts are landing more to the left-hand side, where's the tweak required so the darts are getting pulled more central, vice versa with the right-hand side darts. But a lot of the time you can spot that as well. And I think by studying the game and studying players, you see a lot of the tweaks that are required in a player's game quite early on. And that's something that, I like to say I can spot quite early. And I've always said, I offer tweaks and advice to players. It's up to them if they take it. What I offer, they might think, no, that might not suit me. But you've got to sometimes try and look at the tweaks and the advice that we're being offered. I've had this many a time. I've been to players. I have worked with some mental coaches, sports psychologists, and also with players who've helped me spot things in my game that I haven't spotted as well. So I think there's a lot of accessible resources out there to us. But as I say, for me,
the coaching that I offer, it's very laid back. We make sure that when you come to us, if it's an hour session or a 90-minute session, we focus on all the areas we want to focus on, but also what the player wants to focus on. So I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I had a gentleman come to me for darts coaching, and he was struggling with his setups, under sort of 80 setups. So any score under 80 says, I'm really struggling with that first dart to get it right. So we did quite a few practice games that helped him get to the stage whereby when he goes up to the dartboard, if he's got, say, 76 left, he's comfortable that if he's thrown that first dart and it's not gone where he wants it to, he's comfortable enough to adjust to go for another number, to go for find the finish. I myself, I call it know your mess ups. So as a darts player, you've got to know their mess ups, especially when you're in them lower numbered sequences. So these are the sort of things that we do. And I think it benefits some players, and like I say, it doesn't benefit everyone. Coaching is not for everyone. You look at football. You take football, for instance. There are players who are great players in training, great coach. Will listen to the coach, take everything on board. There's them players who are just natural, don't need it. They don't need to be told where they've got to be on a corner. They do need to be told where they need to be running when they're alongside a player. And I think with darts, you've got them type of people that don't need any coaching. But maybe you've got players out there who need that little bit of advice. And they are the ones that I'm aiming the darts coaching at. And especially with the junior and the youth. A lot of juniors will pick a set of darts up and they will try and mimic the way a Michael van Gerwen throws, or the way, a Peter Wright throws, or, someone that they've seen on the TV. They will mimic their throw. Now, that's fine. But it doesn't always mean that that's the right stance, grip, posture for you at the dartboard. And I've seen it. We've had players at the academy who have mirrored a darts player's throw. And then when we start sort of talking to them and they're struggling with their scores and we start tweaking stuff, we see better results. And so I think that's what I'm trying to do with SWR Darts Coaching, is aim it towards, obviously, the youth and junior players. For them to get a comfortable throw that's their throw and not mirrored of a pro. With the adult side of coaching, obviously, it's the same principle sometimes. That adult might have been throwing for 10, 15 years. His body's already in a position where he goes to an hockey and he knows how he's standing because that's how he's always done it. Might not be the best for him, but because he's always done it, that's the way they will continue to do it. So we offer tweaks and advice. And a lot of the time, players leave us and we see that they've taken things on board. And as I say, I've had the opposite side of that scale where players have left us and gone, it's just not working. I've gone back to my old throw, gone back to my old stance, and I'm just going to work on it. And that's perfectly fine. That's up to the player. That's the player's preference. And I think that's where my coaching, I offer my advice, I offer my tweaks. And if you don't feel it's for you, then it's not for you. So let's talk about darts practice and darts practice routines, more importantly. This is something I'm really, really big on. As I say, on the website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk, there's a tab on there for practice. You click on there and there are, at the moment, I would probably say maybe 20 practice games on there. Every week on our Facebook page, SWR Darts Coaching, we post a practice routine for people to go away and have a try that week. The one I'm just going to talk about here in this podcast is the one that we posted up this Sunday. So it's darts practice number 4 on there if you want to go and take a look. And this is one we took from the Darts World magazine that I was reading recently. And it's a game called Double Tap. And it's a really, really fun game. And we did this down at the hub this week and we've had some good fun with it. So you've got 5 scores. So the 5 scores are 170, 160, 156, 152 and 144. Now if you add all them numbers together, you get a total of 782. The aim of the session is to take out the 170, 160, 156, 152 and 144. But whatever you do score, that is what you put down as your score for that game. So let's say you've got the 170. So we're looking for, obviously, treble 20, the bull. But for argument's sake, we hit single 20, and we hit a 25. So we've scored 65. So for that target of 170, we would score 65. The next score down is 160. So again, there we're looking for a treble 20, and a tops.
But let's say we hit a treble 20, and we miss the tops. So there we'd only put 120 down as our score. So we've got the 65 we've already got, we've got the 120, so we've now got 185 as our score. The total we're after is 782. Once we've done the 5 target scores, we'll have a total score. Now that total score could be, let's say for argument's sake at the moment, let's say it's 480. So the way I look at it now from a practice point of view is we've got a baseline target score, which is 480. So when we come to do this practice again, we're aiming for 2 things. Aim number 1 is obviously we're looking to get the total, which is 782, or close to the total, which is 782. But our second target is to beat our previous target, which was 480. Now, if we fall 10 short, okay, we've fallen 10 short, but we're looking to go higher than that. And that's the aim of the practice, and that's the aim I always try and put across in my practice sessions to people, is that whatever your first score is that you put in on a practice, that's your base. That's your purpose to that practice today. Your purpose is that when you go up there, you've got that 480 that you're aiming for. Your pressure that you're putting into your practice is that you want to beat that 480. So for this darts practice, for instance, you could probably play this 5 times in a session. So the first score is your base, then you go up and you look to beat that score. But every time we're still looking for that perfect score of 782, but we're looking to just beat what our base level score is. And most of the darts practices that I put up on SWR are based around that. It's based around the player going up there and having a target to get to, and to beat the score that they're setting. So this double tap game, it's a really good game because obviously its focuses on every time we come up to the board, we're aiming for them first 2 darts to go towards the treble 20. So again, the 156, we're going for treble 20, double 18. That's what we're looking for. So we're focusing on them first 2 darts going towards the treble. The third dart, we're focusing going towards a double. So the 152, obviously treble 20, double 16. And that's what we're looking to do here. We're putting focus in. It's a really good little practice game. It's not one I've come up with, obviously. Like I said, I've taken it from Darts World magazine. And just give it a go, guys. And if you do give it a go, drop a comment on our page or drop a comment here on the podcast. Let us know how you get on, how you found the score. Because we all just want to sort of get better at darts. And by playing these type of games, we're not just getting stuck into the rut of playing a 501, 301, 201, whatever it may well be. We're looking to focus and move around the board. It's all about the board management at the end of the day. So that's just a bit about SWR Darts Coaching and what I'm looking to do, and obviously an introduction to myself. So these podcasts, every week when I do one, or every other week when I do one, I'm just going to do a little bit of intro. I'm going to talk about what I've done the previous week, who I've been coaching with, who I've helped, how I've helped them. Hopefully in most cases. And obviously we'll talk about a darts practice routine. Every week I'll take a routine from the website and we'll talk about it. And hopefully we can get more in depth as we go through this little podcast series, and look at different practice routines. And then eventually, we might get to the stage where we can invite people on and we can talk to them about their practice routines. Because that is one thing I'm always keen to do when I talk to players. What is your practice routine? What would you do? You've got an hour. I'm giving you 60 minutes to go on the dartboard. What are you doing within them 60 minutes? How are you using them 60 minutes of time at that hockey? Are you using them wisely? what is your thought process as you're going through? And in future episodes as well, I will talk about some of the mental side of the game that I've been passed on to me and that I've picked up over the years that might just help you as a darts player. And I hope it does. So thank you very much if you've listened to this. Please subscribe. Follow us as well on the socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, SWR Darts Coaching or SWR Darts Coaching in some instances. Visit the website. Take a look at the practices on there. My practice schedules are on there as well. I will talk about them in a future episode. They're great to help you with a bit of structure for your darts practice when you just want to go up there and have a good practice session. Somewhat structured, a good practice session. So check them out as well. And obviously, please, if you like this and you found it helpful, share it with your darting friends in your darts community. Help spread the word. And I hope to speak to you all again on the next one. Guys, go out there, enjoy your darts, and be strong at the hockey.